I only realized you weren't mine after I married your mother. You're just like her. As they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You're both just girls who got themselves pregnant before marriage.
Nora tried her best to control her anger as she listened to Henry insult her mother. She hadn't expected Henry to admit that he knew her mother, but he looked somewhat relieved, as if he were finally revealing a long-kept secret.
Lies. He's lying through his teeth.
I did love her. I couldn't bear to see her on her knees. So I decided to wait until she gave birth before divorcing her. I didn't even want a cent from her then. But during the time we spent together, she was gentle and caring. When the time came for the divorce, I couldn't go through with it. She knew that a part of me still cared. So she broke down in tears and told me that she was terminally ill and didn't have long to live. But there's no use in reliving all of this. She's gone, and it's all in the past.
Henry could tell that his story had moved a lot of the viewers, and he proceeded to bow his head and wipe away some non-existent tears before looking at Nora.
Nora, I know you hate me because I wasn't a loving father to you, but if you were me, would you have been able to be caring to someone else's child?
I know you think you're entitled to your mother's company, but before she died, she told him that she wanted the company to be left to him.
That is right. It's because your mother was afraid that you would repeat her mistakes. That was what she told me before she died. It seems she was right. You followed in her footsteps and got yourself pregnant. You embarrassed our family. Your mother disappointed me all those years ago, and then you did the same thing. It's her fault that I'm like this. You should take responsibility for all the pain you and your mother have caused.
Nora knew she had heard enough and narrowed her eyes at the man who she had always thought was her father. Although she didn't know much about her mother, she could still remember her gentle but firm voice when she was a child. She wasn't going to allow Henry to defame her mother like that. I'm going to have to ask you to stop telling these outrageous lies about my mother.
Are you afraid people will find out the truth? Besides, I wasn't the one who brought this up. You're the one with the DNA results. You humiliated yourself. Your mother is a tramp who slept around with other men while she was with me.
Nora could no longer hold back her anger, and she rushed up to Henry, grabbing him by the collar. I told you to shut up! The cameraman captures the confrontation. Henry yells for help.
Look at her! Are you going to hit me in front of the police? Officer, help!
When Henry saw that no one was coming to rescue him and that Nora's bloodshot eyes were filled with hatred, he decided to tarnish her mother's image some more.
Nora, even if you convince the police to let you attack me, it'll never change the fact that your mother was a slut.
That's not what happened back then. I rushed over when I saw the stream. I was worried I would be too late.
Nora, who had been fueled by rage, suddenly became puzzled by Caleb's arrival.
What are you talking about?
Do you really think there's no one who knows the truth about what happened back then? I was only 3 years old back then, so I didn't exactly see anything personally, but my father told me about it, and everything he said is completely different to what you've just said.
What I said just now was the truth. What are you saying? Are you planning to twist what happened? Who are you anyway?
I'm Caleb Gray.
Nora could sense that something was going on from Henry's shocked expression, and she couldn't wait to hear what Caleb had to say. What exactly happened back then, Mr. Gray?
Your father was just a clerk at that time, but your mother had feelings for him, so she told him the truth about her pregnancy.
That is a lie!
Why don't we all listen to this?
Caleb played a recording between Yvette and Henry, where it showed that Henry knew he wasn't Nora's father and was only with Yvette for the money. Nora was still in shock from hearing her mother's voice from 20 years ago. She realized that she didn't hate Yvette for handing her over to Henry, and now understood why she had to do so, now that she too was a mother. I guess I know where my parenting skills come from.
Henry, you're worse than a wild animal.
We don't ever want to have anything to do with you.
You think you've won, Nora? Someone like you, who's just like your mother, doesn't know anything about real family. Even if you become rich, you'll still be all alone, Unlike us, at least the three of us are all still a family.
3? Henry, since you've been my father for the last 19 years, why don't I give you a parting gift?
What kind of gift?
I hope you appreciate what I got you. Henry excitedly opens the report, thinking it's a company transfer.
Nora, we may not have been family by blood, but we were still there for each other. Thank you for helping us. What is that, Henry?
Who is Angela's father?
Wendy becomes stunned by the sudden aggression as Henry grabs her forcefully.
Let me go first, Henry. Calm down. Angela is your daughter, of course. What did you give Henry, Nora?
Nothing much, just an extra DNA test. I can pay for a retest if you want since you are poor.
Tell me the truth. Is Angela my daughter?
That's right. Angela isn't your daughter. You threw me aside for money. After using me, you decided to forget your promise? What makes you think you can do that, Henry? I couldn't let those years go to waste. Besides, I could never get pregnant with you, so I decided to try with another man. It was only after I became pregnant that you finally gave in.
Henry, enraged, rushes at Wendy, but the police hold him back.
You bit... How could you lie to me and trick me into raising someone else's daughter for all these years?
Why don't you admit that you're sterile? You're too old now anyway, so calm down. You'd better stop making a scene, Henry. Otherwise, everyone is going to see you as a joke. Just pretend this never happened. The three of us can still live as we did before.
Henry, conflicted and desperate, suddenly coughs up blood and faints. Roxanne and the cameraman tried to slip away during the chaos, but were caught by Ford.
You are hereby charged with trespassing on private property and filming without consent.
It seems like my mother trusted your family very much.
I'm surprised you haven't asked me who your real father is.
You know who he is?
I don't. But don't you want to know who it is?
It doesn't matter to me. She thought about the family she grew up with and decided that she didn't need the bond or connection. She was grateful to her mother for having her and leaving her with so much she could study and learn from.
Miss Smith, Mr. Gray, we need your statements for the investigation.
It's just trespassing on private property. Why do we have to give statements?
This is just the procedure. Please comply with it. Do you know anything about your mother, Miss Smith?
Are you a special ops officer? Ford was taken aback by Nora's bluntness and decided it was best to tell her about the investigation that they had been carrying out, which also involved her mother.
That man is so strange. He kept asking about Auntie Vet, but I was only 3 or 4. How would I know anything?
Caleb receives a call and his expression darkens.
I have some things to take care of, so I've got to head out now.
What would happen to Henry and Wendy now that everyone knows the truth? And will Nora find out who her real father is? Don't let your excitement die! The full audio series is on the Pocket FM app. Tap the link in the description to install now.